Let's get straight to it. Ripple might be worth $30 billion. And if it chooses to go public, its IPO could be the largest the world has ever seen. That's not speculation from a random commentator. It comes directly from Sean McBride, a former Ripple director. In a post on X, McBride estimated Ripple's valuation based on its recent share repurchase plan. Ripple reportedly offered $175 per share in a $700 million buyback, and by multiplying that offer by the total outstanding shares, McBride reached a $30 billion valuation. In his own words, he described this number as unreal. And if that valuation holds when Ripple goes public, it could eclipse every IPO in history. Just for context, the current record holder is Saudi Aramco, which raised $25.6 billion in its 2019 IPO, followed by Alibaba, which raised $21.76 billion in 2014. So yes, Ripple could potentially beat both. But before we go further, let's look at the background of this buyback and why it matters. Ripple's share repurchase wasn't just a corporate exercise. It was a signal to the market, a way to show confidence and control over its equity. According to reports, the offer was communicated directly to existing shareholders via email, which shows that Ripple is keeping its financial structure tight and carefully managed. Now, some people might ask, if Ripple is doing so well, why hasn't it gone public yet? Well, McBride addressed that too. While last year he predicted that Ripple might file for an IPO outside of the US by 2025, he has recently revised his view, saying Ripple won't be filing for an IPO anytime soon. And the reason? Ripple simply doesn't need the money. Unlike companies that rush into IPOs to raise capital, Ripple has strong cash reserves. It's in no hurry to dilute ownership or expose itself to additional regulatory scrutiny. Instead, the company is focusing on growing its business, and they're doing it aggressively. For example, Ripple recently acquired Hidden Road, a prime brokerage firm, for $1.25 billion. That's not a small deal by any standard. They even tried to acquire Circle, the company behind the USDC stablecoin, before it went public. Circle has raised $1.14 billion so far, but Ripple clearly saw strategic value in trying to bring it under their umbrella. So what does all this mean? Ripple is acting like a company preparing for something big, but on its own terms. It's building out infrastructure, tightening internal control through share buybacks, and expanding its financial reach. And when the time is right, if Ripple decides to go public, it could shake the global financial markets. But let's take a step back and be a bit critical here. A $30 billion valuation sounds impressive, and it is, but we have to ask, is it sustainable? The valuation is based on the price Ripple is willing to pay in a buyback. That doesn't always reflect how the public markets would value the company in an IPO. Public markets are influenced by broader investor sentiment, regulation, and global economic conditions, not just internal offers. Also, we must remember the ongoing legal challenges Ripple has faced, especially with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. The legal battle over whether XRP is a security or not still casts a shadow over Ripple's IPO readiness, especially in the U.S. And that's why McBride's earlier comment about possibly going public outside the U.S. makes a lot of sense. So what's the takeaway? Ripple is positioning itself for a major financial leap. It's rich in cash, confident in its value, and not afraid to play the long game. If it files for an IPO at $30 billion, it will not just be a milestone for Ripple. It would make crypto history. But until then, we'll keep watching closely to see whether Ripple takes the leap and whether the public market agrees with its unreal valuation. Thanks for watching, and tell me, do you think Ripple's IPO will break records? Or was this $30 billion number a little too optimistic? Let me know in the comments.